Welcome to the Double Stuff Podcast, where it's double the hosts, double the topics, and double the fun. And I'm Alan.
I'm Dan.
I'm Charity.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to talk about cooking because it's something that I enjoy. It's a passion of mine.
Yes.
One of the things that I do to relax, and I come home from work and I immediately go into the kitchen and I start cooking for the family dinner. And that happens daily. And I really enjoy it. I do the shopping, I do the cooking, and I'm a little bit unorthodox because I have never referenced a recipe ever.
A lot of people don't, though. That's
Yeah.
usually the best meals come from when you're just improvising it. So
Yes.
you probably make some pretty good food, I'll bet.
Well, that's the thing. So I think it takes a while to kind of figure out like what's your base. So how are you going to make your protein? Have you figured out how to make good chicken, a good beef recipe or something like that? And then what are you going to add to it? Is it going to be like a pasta? Is it going to be what's your carbs? What's your salads? Am I going overboard?
You're
or
putting a lot of thought into something that you say you find relaxing.
That's a good point.
You're contradicting
Okay, but
yourself.
you
it
also
sounds
say
like.
you like video editing, graphic design, and so forth, and that could be stressful at the same time and also relaxing.
Well, let me ask you this,
Yeah,
then,
Yeah, but
Sarah.
I don't have to eat my project.
But do
But you make money off of it, which gets you the food to eat.
Oh, we're gonna go that route. Okay.
but do you enjoy cooking? Is that why you find it maybe stressful?
It's something I do. I mean, I'm not a Betty Crocker by any means.
Sarah doesn't cook. Could we?
I don't.
Let's
I don't
define. She likes to microwave or to if something can take like 5 minutes or less, that's usually the best option. Otherwise, like a decent meal is going to take at the very least 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and this is coming from a person that didn't like to cook. Period. That actually.
Yeah, but I get hungry.
Yeah. I mean. Well, this is coming. Our family didn't really do the microwave thing until we got much, much older. You know, we always used to.
We had a microwave, and then our dad got rid of it because he was
Yeah.
like, he didn't want the instant meals and all that. So I think he got rid of that when I was in kindergarten.
Yeah, we were very young.
Yeah, so
we were very young.
The church
Honestly,
got our microwave. Actually,
honestly, we didn't really start doing that until we started moving to Kansas. A lot of things happened after we moved to Kansas.
Yeah.
We got more lax.
living that
and
Kansas life.
Apparently, Kansas brings out the microwaves in us. I
There
guess.
you go.
But what about you, Dan? Do you do a lot of cooking?
I do actually. I really enjoy cooking. I didn't used to. I mean, there was a long time where I didn't do any kind of cooking, but now I don't know. Since we've been vegan, I've been trying a lot of different things, and I do really enjoy cooking a lot. I'm like Alan. I like to go out and pick stuff out, and I like to prep it and everything. I do though typically start with a recipe. Like I'll start off with like some kind of instruction or whatever online, and every time I make it, it's terrible because it's never flavorful. So then I kind of branch off and do my own thing from there.
Wait, is it terrible because you're trying to turn a regular recipe into a vegan recipe? Or
No, I usually use vegan recipes. Yeah, I think it's just because like I like more seasoning and flavor than a lot of the recipes like call for. So so I'll usually like double any kind of pepper or garlic powder or onion powder than anything it calls for.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Every recipe calls for like a couple of pinches of pepper, and for me, it's got to have a lot of pepper.
Oh, yeah.
And then afterwards, and because of the way that my family dynamics are, I'm the only one that really enjoys spicy food. So I have to make it
medium?
palatable for everyone. And then for me, it's like, let me get the sriracha. Let me get the chili flakes soaked in oil. Let me get the
Hot sauce?
well, there's this really good it has a little spice on the front end, but it goes away pretty quick. It's a garlic chili paste, and I want to say it's sombliac, or we're gonna have to double check
I was
this
going to
one.
say, I might have to Google that while you guys are talking.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'll look it up
Okay,
for
you look it up because it's in every single, like when I was in San Francisco, and that's really where I never really liked spicy food until I kind of got to San Francisco. One, I was cooking on my own. When I was my first go at college as a football player, I was on a meal plan for cafeteria, and it was all I would just show up and load up a tray. That's what it was. When I was in San Francisco, there is no meal plan, and that's kind of where I started cooking. but it's also where I was exposed to all kinds of different cuisine that, of course, at the time you couldn't get in Kansas. Kansas in the past 20 years has become very diverse as far as culinary goes,
Yeah, they have.
but it
yeah.
wasn't, when I was growing up. And so I was exposed to like Russian delis, and you can get
Russian. I've never
yeah,
had
I don't think I've
pierogies.
ever had Russian
Oh,
stuff.
really good. So it's basically it's the Russian version of an empanada or a dumpling, a stuffed dumpling. So it's like
Oh.
it's
Like
a
a Hot
filling.
Pocket?
Yeah, it's like a hot pocket.
Oh, okay.
And it's so
okay.
good. Pierogies are really good.
I know Hot Pocket is like the least appetizing sounding.
least
Apologies
Russian
to
meal.
Russia. I'm sure their
Yeah.
food's great, but I didn't know what a enchilada or not
And
enchilada.
when I was
empanada, I didn't know what that was
well,
either.
an
so.
empanada. Well, yeah. So every culture kind of has like some sort of a hot pie or
Okay.
a meat pie, I guess would basically be. And that's really good. So okay. So getting back to that sauce, did you find out what
I
it
was
is?
trying. It kept coming up as zombie sauce.
No, it's not zombie
That's what
sauce.
we need.
So
we
I
need
think
to have
It's
a
like
zombie
it's
sauce.
like
I think I
S
spelled
A.
it wrong.
Let me look it up. So
But
it's
I'm
like
with you though, Alan, when it comes to the spiciness.
OBLEK or something.
Okay, yeah, I did
Like,
not spell it that
And
way.
it's I know it. Like I said, I couldn't even pronounce it.
I kind of like the zombie sauce. It's
But
so
it's like,
good it brings out
chili-
the undead. That's
Garlic
be something
chili
like that.
paste or something.
In the meantime, while Alan's looking that up, I will say this past from May until now, I've gone like mostly vegan. I was doing vegetarian vegan meals for a while. I know Dan's perking up over there. I was doing
true. Yeah.
I
Uh-huh.
was doing mostly vegan vegetarian, or I was doing some vegan vegetarian, but I hadn't completely changed now. I was doing some more healthier meals earlier, but I hadn't completely switched. And so now I'm mostly about 80% vegan. But I recently found this spreadable cheese that I really liked, and it's made from cashews. And I didn't even know like you could make cheese from cashews, and just
Oh,
all
yeah.
the things that I'm learning about what the plant alternative is. And I think it's really, really cool.
Yeah, and that's really neat. Actually, when we moved here, I looked up a new recipe, and so some people like the cashew cheeses, like the fake cashew cheeses. I do too, actually, but there are some people who don't like some of the flavor or the texture for it. So I found a new recipe for a queso dip that was made with eggplant instead of cashews,
What?
and
Ooh.
it turned out really well.
Do you have a picture of this? Because I'm actually curious to see what it looked like.
Yeah, because
I'll send it to you.
It's tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
So what you had to do is you had to actually bake the eggplant, and then peel, like take the outside peel off. And, like you slice it up, bake it right until it's like that, and then you put it in a blender, and then you just blend it up with all like the almond milk and then like the seasoning and spices and stuff like that, and then put it on the stove to heat. Worked out really good. We had like nachos with it.
What color is it at the end? Is it
It's like a
white?
yellow color. It's like a yellowish, kind of a darker yellow, but especially like when you put the Rotella in and stuff. But yeah, it worked out really well.
So it
Huh.
still looks like queso at the end. It's not like this mystery goop, and you're like, "What the heck is this?"
No, until you leave it in the fridge. Once you leave it in the fridge for a good period of time, it becomes nice and brown.
Oh boy. You know what that sauce needs? Because I found
You
it.
found it.
You found
Okay,
it.
yes. Let's hear what
And
this
it
is.
is spelled SAMBAL.
Sambal?
Samblioliac. I don't know, but this was in like all the restaurants in Chinatown, right next to like soy sauce or anything else that you wanted to put on. Another thing that they had in Chinatown, which is a something that you would really enjoy, they
Yeah.
had the spicy mustard. I mean, like fire mustard. But
Oh my gosh.
See,
And
our family doesn't do. Okay, me and Charity like spicy stuff, but the rest of the family cannot handle it.
That-
I like medium
that's the
spice.
same here.
Yeah,
Now-
if
now-
it's so spicy that you
Yeah.
can't taste the food anymore, then I
Yeah.
don't want it.
Yes.
So you have to taste the flavor.
I agree
too.
with that. It can't just be totally taking
Yeah.
over, which when I was dating my wife, we went to one of my favorite Chinese steam tables in San Francisco. And for some reason, I don't know if like whenever you go to a steam table and they have like General Tso's chicken or and every once in a while they'll have the chili the dried chili that's cooked in with the glaze and it's in there. You're not supposed to eat it, but it's in there. She ate it and almost passed out. And this was one of
Oh
our
my
first days.
gosh.
And she was like, I'm blacking out. I'm blacking out. I'm
Oh,
like, what are
no.
you
Oh my
talking
gosh.
about? And so that was the end of
That was the
anything
most
spicy.
romantic date I have
Yeah.
ever
Wait,
been
so
on.
she didn't know it was in there, or she did know?
I don't think, well, it was, it was cooked in with the chicken, but
Oh,
you're not
okay.
supposed to eat it. And I don't know if I guess maybe I assumed that she knew, or maybe she didn't notice that it was in there, but she
Mhm.
took a bite because I was hyping this restaurant. I was like, we got to go.
Oh.
It's awesome. You can eat so much for like $5. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
It's $5, but the rest of it is in the ambulance.
Yeah,
right?
it was a bad date. And going back to what you were saying, Dan, because as far as eggplant, we were talking about it being kind of tricky. One of the things that one of my early culinary experiments was trying to find a good way to eat eggplant, and this was
Yeah,
another like
yeah.
just hanging out with my wife. We went to a market. They had a deal on eggplant, and I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And all that I knew that you could do with eggplant to make it good is to bread it,
Throw it
fry
away.
it, and
Oh.
and drench
Throw
it
it
in
away.
sauce and things like that. And I was like, well, okay, there's got to be there's so many people that eat eggplant. I got to figure this out. So I made like little eggplant steaks, like cut it up like a beef tomato, and then
Wow.
cooked it with some apples, cooked it with this and that. We ended up throwing the whole tray away because unless eggplant is breaded, fried, and drenched in marinara, it's like you said, it can be thrown away. In
Yeah,
my
that's the only way I eat it.
That
I'm
sounds
with
like
you.
okra.
Yeah,
Okra gets slimy,
unless
but if
it's
fried-
pickled. Have you ever had a pickled okra?
I didn't know you could pickle
No.
okra. I've
If you
never-
go into
I used to enjoy the sliminess of okra. I used to
Ooh.
enjoy that so much, and then
yeah,
Then you grew
I
up.
grew up,
yeah,
and I grew up, and then I think that I'm trying to remember where, but I started. Someone introduced me to fried okra, and I was like, "Oh man, it's not slimy.
It's
I
kind of
like
hard
it."
to go back after you have anything fried.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the American way. Fry everything.
It's
That's right.
true. It's so true.
So as far as cooking goes, do you guys have like, okay, I'm going to impress somebody. I'm going to have, and I have a dish that I'm going to share with, but starting with Sarah, do you have like, okay, I need to cook something, press them. This is my go-to meal. Do you have one?
I think if I was going to, it would probably be lasagna or something. Because
Can you make lasagna?
Charity's laughing before I even get a chance to
I
give
think
my.
it's funny.
Wait, or are you just going to
She
bake the
does-
frozen lasagna? Or are you
I
going to?
admit-
She
I
gets the little
admit-
stofers and then puts it in her own tray. It's like, look what I picked.
That's a good hack.
a labor of love that costs $10.
Mhm.
I mean, I admit, yeah, I don't cook often. So the few times I do, it is weird because my mom looks at me in the kitchen. She's like,
What are you doing?
yeah. And then she looks at me and sits at the table and watches like, oh, I got to see this. Sarah's actually cooking something in the kitchen. But if I was to cook something to impress somebody, yeah, more than likely it would be lasagna because it's just layering,
Yeah.
and you really
you can't really mess that up.
you
No.
can't really mess up layering.
Yeah.
So
And you got to give it plenty of time to bake. That's the trick with
Yeah.
lasagna. It
Mhm.
takes about 17,000 times longer
It
than you
does.
initially think that it'll take to bake.
I am pretty good with macaroni and cheese, and not just the stuff in the blue box. I can actually bake
There you
some
go.
good macaroni and cheese. So the stuff I have is very full of starch,
Hey,
full of cheese.
but it leaves the person pleased, right?
If they eat enough.
How about you,
They go
Cherry?
into a food coma.
Yeah.
So this was a few years ago when Tasty was posting all of their videos all over Facebook for a while.
Oh yeah.
And I just looked up the name of it. It's a Scotch egg, and so it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
the boiled egg thing with the meat around it, which I guess me and Dan wouldn't eat that now. But and you bake it, and you can put like different things in it. So there's different versions of it. But if I was trying to impress someone, that's probably what I would make. But I do a mean breakfast. Like
Oh, yeah.
I
Actually,
love-
Charity does do a very good
I
breakfast.
love big breakfast, waffles, pancakes,
Mhm.
sausage,
Now you're
eggs,
talking.
like, omelets, like whatever you want in a
Yes,
dream
please.
huge breakfast, like I could throw down.
See, I haven't eaten it all today, and that sounds very
I
good.
have to go to IHOP or something after this.
I'm doing a very empty stomach broadcast or podcast with this, which is
All right, Dan.
Yeah.
What about you, buddy?
I go breakfast all the way. My go-to is a tofu scramble. It's like a tofu that you press and then crumble up, and then it's got green peppers, onions, and mushrooms in it, and then like turmeric, some other seasoning, and then nutritional yeast.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Now let me ask you this, because we've gotten into incorporating tofu into a few meals in our house, and the trick has always been trying to find the right tofu. And so we've gone from, soft, which we would find probably more in soups, and then to firm. And then I just got into super firm, but my family was like, something's wrong with this tofu. And I'm like, you're right. I've got a new tofu. It's super firm and it's really easy for dad to cook. And they're like, no, go back to firm. And I'm like, oh.
So you gotta, extra firm is way I go. I don't do anything really except for the extra firm tofu, the one that you get, the Simple Truth, I think, or Simply Organic or something like that from there. But the secret for any tofu is the pressing it. You got to get it pressed. Whether it's
true, because that's how I press it as it comes out of the container, and then I slice it and then leave it under like a mountain of paper towels just to absorb all that water out.
We bought a tofu press. Like we bought an actual press that like you put the block in and then you squeeze it down and it presses all the water out.
I didn't know either.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But that is the most important thing, because if you don't press it out, then it tastes like nothing and it doesn't absorb any of the flavors that you cook it in.
That's a good point, because I do it manually. Okay. All right. So
that's why Alan's.
We're gonna have to put a link to this one in the description.
Since he is the brawn, you just take your fist and just squeeze it out with your hand. Like, we don't need any tofu.
Just two pieces of tofu, just squeeze and then just like go everywhere.
I am the tofu press.
See, I'm not that vegan. I haven't done tofu yet. So
tofu's tricky. It doesn't work the first time you make it. I don't know anybody who first makes it and then thinks, "Oh yeah, that's good." I think everybody thinks it's terrible, and that's because they don't press it, and they don't press it enough, and then they don't let it absorb the flavors, either marinating long enough or cooking long enough.
I've had meals with tofu in it, so like there's actually vegan food trucks out now in different restaurants and stuff. So I've had tofu stuff, but if someone else makes it, that's fine. I still haven't been brave enough to try it myself.
Maybe I would like it if. I guess I haven't had enough.
If it was in macaroni and cheese.
Well, I do feel like I'm the kind of person that if you douse anything in cheese, I'll eat it.
Yes, that's American, right there.
I used to feel that way about everything until I went to school, and then that whole cafeteria thing. Because I went to school one day and they had some kind of, I don't know what it was, but it had 50 tons of mushrooms in it.
Whoa!
And and so I was like, well, and at the time that was like the big meal of that particular day was some kind of weird mushroom casserole mess, but it was completely drowned in cheese. And so I was like, well, it's covered in cheese.
What do I do with all these moldy mushrooms? Let's just cheese them.
So in a college cafeteria, it's at the end of the month. We have to use up all of this produce real quick, and we'll make a casserole.
Yeah, and so I had it in front of me. I'm like, okay, if it's covered in cheese, it should be okay. I took a forkful of it, and it was the nastiest thing I had ever eaten.
Did you spit it out?
I totally spit that.
It probably looked exactly the same on the spit out.
Okay, before we lose our appetite, Alan, what was your go-to meal that you make?
Well, my go-to meal. So I've stopped trying to, or I would say, my crowd pleasers are pretty basic. So if I'm going to have people over, I'm going to have some sort of grilled or barbecued meat, just a straight protein. Mm-hmm. And then I also have really gotten into grilling sweet corn in the husk on the grill as well. So I'll soak it in water and then grill it, and it steams. And if you haven't had just plain off the cob corn, if you've been drowning it in butter and salt, it is nature's candy. If you just peel that husk back and then jump straight into corn. I'm getting choked up just talking about it.
I'm like, settle down, Alan.
Yeah. And then I usually do like a watermelon and cube it up. So it's just automatically in bite-sized cubes.
Very cold watermelon.
Very cold watermelon. So you got hot corn, hot meat, you got corn, watermelon to cool down, and then a basic salad. And typically when it comes to salads, I just do the mixes. I get like either a Caesar salad mix, get a couple bags of that,
Salad, yeah.
and then lemon. You got to have fresh lemon. So
In the salad?
Mhm.
Oh,
yeah,
I don't think I've ever
I
had
haven't
that.
done that.
Yeah.
Never done that.
We need to have our own like cooking show. I feel like
Well, I was going to say, Alan can invite us over for the double stuffed barbecue that he's going to throw at the end of the summer, right?
yeah, actually, let's throw it today.
absolutely.
Let's go ahead and stop recording now. Let's just head over to his house.
Link in the description.
Come on, everybody, join in.
If you get a whole international crowd coming over your house, Alan, it's all your fault.
Oh
That's
man,
right.
that'd be awesome. But yeah, I think if you have an awesome simple protein, if you have an awesome simple vegetable / starch, something cool and refreshing like watermelon, and then a salad or something. After that, save all the calories for the desserts.
Oh, we
And
haven't
I-
even talked
and
about
I-
dessert. That's
and
for
then
another topic.
Yeah, and I default the desserts over to my wife, who's a wonderful baker. So I do more of the cooking. She does all the baking, and we have a
Oh, the
happy,
sweet
happy
and the
home.
savory.
Your kids are happy
And,
kids.
and
out
what
there,
order
yeah.
your kids? The side dishes?
No,
Like-
they're the taste
Oh.
testers.
Oh
They-
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and let me tell you,
They'll let you know if something's gross out there.
but ever since Nailed It came out, kids, what's the one with the baskets? The show where
Chopped?
Kids
Oh,
Chopped
yeah.
came out. Oh my gosh, my girls have been, hey dad, mom, come sit down, and then we're like, okay, we've made something. Okay,
Oh.
and you know what?
Are they
Go-
good?
It's starting to get very, very good.
Oh,
Yeah.
very
okay.
nice.
Yeah,
Your girls are smart though. Like that doesn't surprise me that they'll figure out some
they're
complicated
very
recipe.
adventurous.
Yeah,
Very
well,
adventurous.
that's good. If they travel one day, they can go overseas and try some weird thing.
That's
on a
my
stick
whole
and love it.
purpose, is just making sure that they can sustain themselves, and then hopefully one day,
They'll
as
sustain
we all
You, yep.
can sustain me. That's
That way
right.
you don't have to live off of baby food and applesauce the rest of your life.
Dad, get out of your chair. It's time for dinner. All right, here we go.
Do I need my teeth today, or do I? I'm sorry, we totally made him this over the.
Oh, but you'll be a cute old man, Alan.
I'll try.
We hope.
I'll try. I'm halfway there.
All right. Well, on that culinary bombshell,
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. If you have a wonderful dish that you would like to share or have a crowd pleaser, please shoot us a response and a description, and maybe even a picture of what it looks like. And maybe we can cook it up and do a little taste testing from our viewers. Just throwing that out there. All right. Thanks, guys. We're out of here. Thanks for listening to today's episode. You can find other episodes on doublestuffpod.com or on your favorite podcast apps. You can also participate in the fun on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Double Stuff Podcast, and on Twitter at Double Stuff P, as in the letter P.